Brilliance Audio presents Why Young Men, The Dangerous Allure of Violent Movements and What We Can Do About It, by Jamil Jivani, performed by J.D. Jackson. Forward. During my first days at Yale Law School, I distinctly remember meeting two people. The first was the girl who would eventually become my wife. The second was Jamil Jivani, the author of the book you now hold in your hands. Jamil and I didn't obviously share much in common. He was a black guy from Canada. I was a white guy from America. He grew up in a big city, and I grew up in a small town. He didn't understand why I liked guns, and I didn't understand why about sounded like a boot when he pronounced it. But appearances can be deceiving, and Jamil and I quickly realized our similarities. We were both patriotic and loved and admired our home countries despite their imperfections. We both owed much of our lives' opportunities to women, my grandmother, his mother, who stepped up when others let us down. We both felt a strong connection to our communities back home, even as we lacked a certain comfort with the elite environment of Yale. Neither of us came from families with money, and we both knew very personally the feeling of loss and shame that comes from growing up without your father around. Early during that first year of law school, Jamil and I found ourselves in a large group eating at a late-night chicken joint. As everyone filed out, Jamil and I both noticed the terrible mess we'd left and stayed behind to clean everything up. We are probably the only people here who've ever had to clean up someone else's mess, I said. Jamil just nodded in agreement. Jamil would eventually become one of my best friends. Years later, at my wedding, I chose Jamil to read my favorite verse from the Bible, from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and there be any praise, think on these things. I am proud of Jamil, proud mostly of the man he has become and strives to become each day, proud of his dedication to his beliefs, proud of this book he has written, published for the first time in my home country. In it, Jamil asks the question, as the title indicates, why young men? Why do young men seem to be struggling so much in our modern society? Why are young male immigrants less able to assimilate into their new homes in the West? Why are so many young men in the inner city caught up in gang activity? Why is it that so much of the violence, social dysfunction, and misery in our societies disproportionately exists and flows from our young men? His answer is that today's world throws more traps and temptations in front of young men than ever before, with even fewer ladders out of the ditches they end up in. From their families, their neighborhoods, their communities, and even their countries, young men find themselves a little more disconnected and isolated than ever before. Moreover, there are fewer sources of legitimate and productive meaning available. Thus, there's a temptation to take the easy or fun way out of situations. Tragically, of course, the easiest way out of a given crisis is often the most destructive. Jamil's way of answering that question is insightful and engaging. It's impossible to do justice to a book or indeed a man's life in a brief foreword. But Jamil brings perhaps the three most important qualities to this task: a brilliant intellect, a life of experiences and insights, and real moral courage. Jamil does not avoid tough questions or make the most ideologically or politically convenient arguments. He takes the world as it is. He allows experience and data to inform and guide him, and he tackles this extraordinarily difficult topic with grace and compassion. I am biased, of course.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?